right, guys. So here with Richard Diaz, Blue Benedum, and we're going to give you guys 6 performance tips for running that you've never heard before. That's a tall order. I think, Richard, you might have risen to the challenge a little bit better than I have. We'll see if you've heard some of the ones that I've got for you, but we each got 3, and we're going to get right into them. So 6 things you can do to improve your performance for running you've never heard of. What do you got, Richard?
Well, so first of all, we didn't clarify. We didn't set the stage for rules, right? So we didn't talk about whether it was going to be legal or illegal. We didn't clarify. And truth be told, everything that I came up with is legitimate. You can do it, and it's legal. But you almost have to wonder. Now, you and I spoke about this, and I know this is going to be backwards when I show this. So just because I want them to be able to see this, I need to make a quick adjustment. Okay, I'm going to snap my fingers and boom, I'm looking the other way. But here you go. This is called spitting in the soup. Okay, and so when you talk about whether it's legit or not, this is all about doping in sport. Fascinating read. I interviewed the author of this book years ago, and I wanted to share with you, because the topic's kind of interesting, that in 1904 in the United States, we held our first Olympics in this country. And the marathon that occurred back in the day, 1904, you got to appreciate that the course, and by the way, it was in Minnesota, right, of all places. And it was hot, it was dusty. There's no paved roads, there's no track. There's just, you got your street shoes, your shorts if you're lucky, and go, right? And back then, they didn't believe in giving water to the runners. They thought that was just a really bad idea. It's going to make you sick, right? So they don't want to make you sick, so they don't give you any water. And then, so they have this caravan of vehicles that are following the runners. It's the Olympics, so it's legit. They got to have cars to, see what's going on. But the cars are throwing up dust like crazy. And these guys are choking on dust and dirt and whatever. And so they're not going to give you any water either. And so 10 miles in, the leader, a guy named Charles Hicks, who was from the UK, actually running for the United States, they would dampen his lips with a sponge. They won't actually give him something to drink. But he's still kind of put out, so they decide that they're going to provide him with proper medication. And so the proper medication was 1/16 grain of sulfide strychnine. And for those of you that are not familiar with that, that's essentially rat poison. But they gave it to him with an egg white, right? And then he proceeded to motor down the road. His nervous system's all jacked. And then around 20 miles, when he's starting to hallucinate, they figure he needs another dose. So they give him some more strychnine. But this time, they're going to wash it down with brandy. Now.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So, and as a matter of fact, they needed more brandy. So one of the other support crews that was also carrying brandy donated their brandy. So he got a double dose of brandy on his.
Wait, like they ran out of brandy? Like they just drank too much brandy?
Well, I think that all of the cars, I think it was just, that's what you do, is when you're in pain, when you're running, you want to dampen the pain with a little bit of alcohol, right?
But they were taking so much of it that they ran out. They had to go get more. Yeah. Sounds like a drinking game.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so the guy got a double dose of brandy and a double dose of rat poison, and that was the running tip that I would not recommend anybody do.
This is not on the list.
Yeah.
This is a separate list.
It's not on the list. But so we're going to share, okay? I'm going to do a legit one. You do a legit one. We'll just knock these out, okay? So people that know me know that I'm a stickler for cadence with your running. And I'm not going to tell you, okay, stick to 180 strides per minute. That's going to help you perform better, blah, 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 blah. Which, by the way, it will. But that's low-hanging fruit. I didn't want to just use that as one of my, because I said something that you never heard before. Now, here's what I've learned, and this is an experiential situation, is that when you're running along and you're starting to fatigue and you're trying to get your pace back up, and you're doing your very best to keep on point with your cadence, shift your mindset to your cadence in your elbows. So when you start throwing the elbows at the same stride frequency that you were trying to maintain, which is 180, you're going to notice it's going to pick your energy up. You're going to start to get that gear that you were losing, and you'll be able to maintain your pace or actually potentially gain some pace. And what happens is your extremities will entrain one another. So your arms should try to adapt to your legs, and your legs will adapt to your arms. And I've actually had people that had trouble trying to figure out how to get onto the cadence, but if they focused on their elbows swinging behind them, that actually helped. Right. And you'll try it. Try it and watch and see. Better than that, jack your cadence up with your elbows and watch what your legs do. You'll start noticing that your pace picks up. So that's my first tip.
Love it. I think you used that one on me a few times back in the day, running around the track.
Yeah.
Drive the arms. Elbows back. I used to have like the super chicken wings, and you'd be like, get your elbows in. I tell a story all the time about how you just harp on me, driving your car next to me, harping on me, get your elbows in. Hey, it worked, man. It worked.
You know, I have a lot of people that feel like I've been in their head way too much. And, you know, I remember when so-and-so, and you yelled at me. And it's always a story about me yelling at somebody.
You yelling, yeah.
It's not like, no, you can do it.
It works.
It's none of that. You can do it. You're going to be fine. You look great.
No.
You know, chicks dig you. You know, no, I'm just.
It's tough love, man. It's tough love with you.
Run, bitch.
Yeah. All right. So I got this one may have been heard of by people, but people always ask about how to breathe when they're running. And for me, it's breathe slow and to move fast. And the idea, I think, is that people tend to breathe rhythmically and breathe in sequence with their movement patterns, which obviously with the running mechanics, and you talked about with cadence, if you're breathing in sequence with 180 steps per minute, you're
hyperventilate, yeah.
Hyperventilating, yeah. But you see it, I think, a lot especially in sprinting. And if somebody's doing like strides or sprints, you're gonna obviously this psychology of I need to get more air in is like breathe faster and breathe more, which a lot of studies show. And if you read the book Breath by, what is the guy's name? Have you heard of this book, Breath? Can't remember the guy's name that wrote it. Great book,
but I haven't read it.
You'd love this book. You should definitely pick it up. But the idea that we're actually hyperventilating and we're decreasing our oxygen when we're breathing faster. It's very counterintuitive. But I've always used that cue of just slow your breath down, almost like a yoga type breathing. And as you're moving quickly, if you're just slow breath, but the body's moving quick, I feel like it steadies your heart rate down, it calms your mind, and it just allows your body to do its job without overworking, essentially.
Yeah. I attended a workshop years ago that one of the lecturers was Jack Daniels, and he was discussing breath patterns for running. And, you know, essentially what they're suggesting is two steps to one breath. And sometimes you can mess around with that, two and two. I don't know. I've always been shy on trying to recommend any type of breath pattern. Some people want to tell you to breathe exclusively through your nose, and there's argument that you get more oxygen in your body that way. I just think that when you're laboring, anywhere you can get air, take it. If you can get it through 100%. Your ear, take it, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, but that is an interesting tip. I'm really curious to see how that works.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm just going to move on to the next one, which is now, having just spoke about this drug enhancement, a legal enhancement that is still kind of edgy is sodium bicarbonate. Have you tried this before?
Is this
baking soda?
I think I've heard of it, but I haven't tried it now.
So baking soda basically will settle down the lactate production, right? So it kind of nullifies the ensuing production of lactate and will let you operate at a higher level, and it just basically nullifies the lactate production. And now
Hmm.
the recommended dose is it's 0.3 grams per kilo of body weight. So this is basically household baking soda. And if you took like 0.3 grams, mix it up with some water, and drink it, it will help you push through that lactate ensuing pain. Now,
Hmm.
some people are sensitive to it. So they say about 10% of the audience that tries this is going to end up with GI issues. So if you're running a marathon and you've never tried it before and you try to punch this stuff into your system, you're going to be at the porta potty probably a little longer than you'd like. But
Yes, maybe a bad idea.
but it might be not a bad idea. And I think it really is more helpful in shorter high intensity events. Like if you're trying to PR for the mile or a 5K, you might try it. But I wouldn't try it the day of. I would try it in training to see whether it's beneficial or not. And it's gonna be noticeable. It's either helping you or it's not. And if you start find your stomach gurgling, then you probably ought to lay off. But I don't really think it's going to harm you, and it's not illegal. And it is something that's a little off the wall, and that's what I was trying to find is off the wall enhancements rather than the typical crap people tell you.
Oh yeah.
So that was my number 2.
Nice. I'm gonna go with the more typical one since you just said that, and it's something that I use. This is more of, I guess, It's training and racing, I guess, but it's more doable depending on your training environment. The idea of water on your head rather than in your mouth, and obviously hydration is important, and that's its own topic. But if you have water available to you and you can get it on your head and on your neck, so many training runs I've had and like that have been going poorly that I can flip around simply by dropping my head in a fountain and sink, whatever you got with shower. And in Santa Monica, we got beach showers. So, I mean, they're everywhere, which is a really nice training area for that. But yeah, just drenching your head in water just cools your whole body temp down. Kind of, it's a reset, and you can get out and go out and hammer again. So water on the head, not just the mouth.
And I'm totally with you on this. By the way, your marathon, back in the day, the Malibu Marathon, when you guys were putting that on.
Yeah.
One of my clients who I had been training, I probably was one of her first marathons. And she's heavy. Let me just put it like that. She's heavy. And so we didn't expect anything great. This is a survival type of thing. We're just going to get this marathon done. And I was waiting for her at the finish line, and she wasn't showing up. So I started running up the course, and I caught her at an aid station, and she was leaning on the counter and having conversation with the people that were handing the water out. And so you try to imagine, here comes me again, all right? I'm running up the course, and I'm screaming at her. What the hell are you doing? This ain't no wine tasting, I'm screaming.
Yeah.
The poor people at the aid station see this crazy man come running up the road, screaming at the poor little woman. And then what I did, they had these big 5-gallon jugs of water that they were pouring the water from. And I grabbed one of them that was full, and I chased her down the street. And every time she started to slow down, I'd throw that water on her back. So try to imagine everybody that was on the course still running by, seeing me screaming at her and throwing water on her back.
So good.
I chased her all the way down to the finish line like that. And I told her, I said, for every person you pass, I'm going to buy you a bottle of tequila. Right? And she started passing people, right? I think.
Damn, you're looking at it like, wait a minute, not that many bottles. I didn't think you were gonna go that fast.
She passed like 6 people.
Damn.
And it was, trust me when I tell you, the finish line was coming down. I mean, they were already like, okay, disassembling the finish line, and there's no stuff on the table. She was a little late to the party, right?
Oh man,
so
good for her.
She finally got through it, and the next day on my porch there was a 6-pack of scotch. She bought me 6 bottles of scotch.
She bought it for you instead of the other way around.
Yeah. Because I got her through
That's
it.
awesome.
But, I mean, she shut down. She was like, I forgot what mile. It must have been the 20-mile mark somewhere, because I ran about 6 miles up the course to get to her.
That course was so gnarly too. Just brutal.
Yeah. But water on the head or water on the back, both of them suffice.
Man, it works. It also works really well for breaking up fistfights.
Yeah, fire hose, right?
Fire hose, yeah. It's or breaking up dog fights too. That's
okay. So
all good.
My last one is something I had not really ever thought about, but I was doing a little research. I was trying to find some tips, and I ain't gonna lie to you. I started googling tips and just seeing what other people were saying because I wanted to.
Of course, you did.
Yeah, well, dude, I'm trying to come. I'm under the gun. I got to come up with something, right?
Yeah.
So jumping rope obviously is way beneficial. Haile Gebrselassie would jump rope every stinking day, barefoot,
really?
On dirt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so realize that you're on your forefoot and you're barefoot, developing, the strength in your feet, tensile strength in the connective tissue bones, what have you. But taking it a step further is doing kind of a pogo style jump rope. So each time the focus is to lurch upwards and come down, and so you start to develop the elasticity, and so you're starting to develop your ability to push off the ground, right? And so that all by itself, if you're successful with it, it's plyometrics basically for your feet, would be very beneficial as a training supplement to your running. And I think that's kind of a unique thing. I don't think people talk about that, but me looking into it, and you know what, I totally get that. And not only do I get it, but now some of my clients are going to start having to do it because I really do think.
Yeah.
Well,
it's like so funny you brought that up.
Yeah, like doing double unders, right?
It's so funny. My workout today was the CrossFit workout of the day with 5 rounds of 60 double unders and 15 chest to bar pull-ups.
Ooh.
So the 60 double unders, I haven't done double unders in a long time, and yeah, man, jumping rope, dude. My heart rate was through the roof. I was just gasping for air after every 15 to 20 of them. So yeah, I guess I got to work on my technique a little bit, but for sure, I definitely would agree that's a great tip.
It's been many, many years since I've been able to do a double under, but back in the day, when I was kind of in it, I was all about the double unders. I used to train at this USA Sports Center, which is in Alabama, as a matter of fact, and they had a big swim clock in the gym, and I would do double unders for 1 minute, and then do some other exercise, come back and do the double unders again.
Yeah.
And I got pretty good at it, but I don't know how many repetitions that was in the shot, doing 1 minute worth, but probably around 60.
I bet it's right around 60. Yeah. Yeah. If you're getting good at it, for sure.
Yeah. Then I would run there. It was like a 2.5 mile run there, 2.5 mile run home. And I would add these little hand weights, I had like these 10-pound hand weights.
Damn.
This is back in the day, and nobody does that anymore.
Richard Diaz in the house.
That's old school, man. But that's we're talking a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You were probably not allowed to be out past the streetlights back then.
Yeah. Yeah. I had to get home before the Bears got me.
So what's your last one?
All right, my last one is about hill training, and we all know that running fast or running uphill is a way to develop your speed and your power, but running downhill as well. Run fast up and run fast down. So whether you do this on different days, have a day where you're primarily going after the uphills and have another day where you're going hard on the downhills, or you can do it in one workout. I have this one from my house where I run up the mountain and I do some repeats going on the way up. The downhill is anywhere from 5K to 4 or 5 miles downhill. And on a good day, I'll just let it go and see how hard I can push, how anaerobic I can get for how long. And, going downhill at like 4:30 pace, and you feel fast. But the point is that you're developing that leg speed turnover because you're holding on for dear life. And just to get your body to turn over that quick, your heart rate's through the roof. But, obviously running downhill is easier. The pace is going to obviously not be accurate. It's not about that. It's about really making your body move so quick that you just got to keep up with it and perpetuate it. And really effective. I don't know a lot of people that run downhill specifically for developing speed.
There's neurologically what ends up happening is when you have the fear of falling, you tend to put the brakes on. You tend to overstride. You try to stop yourself on the way down. So you have to develop a tremendous amount of confidence in your capacity to make that downhill speed. And you'll see people get into trouble. They get in over their head, And
Yeah.
I actually would, during my clinics, I'll have people do downhill work. And I'll have them do it at various paces and various cadences. Not because I'm suggesting a particular cadence is correct or incorrect, but find what works for you. And, you know, it's funny, not so funny, but funny. I had one guy, he was from Oregon, he came out to see us. And he said, so like if I want to just like really rip, just really let my legs go going downhill, is that bad for me? You know, I said, dude, I don't know. Let's give it a shot. Show me what you got. You know. So he went up on the hill and come ripping down, tripped, and went sliding face first. The only spot on the trail where there was actually like a sheet of pavement.
Oh,
You know.
hamburger.
And, you know, me being the loving and caring person that I am, I just looked down at him and said, so that's probably not it, right?
Brutal.
Yeah,
Want a Band-Aid?
So, but on the note, and you know, I'm already past my limit here, but I'll just share it.
Yeah.
Pigtailing your thing. The peg leg workout that I have people do is brutal. You know, and I gave it the term peg leg because going up a hill on one foot, coming down the hill on the same foot, without setting the other foot down, you could separate the wheat from the chaff really quickly when you do that with a group of people. Because you'll find only the strong survive. Getting up the hill on one leg, if you don't have the integrity in the joints that's required to do that, never mind coming downhill, right?
Yeah.
But I would have them go up on the hill on one leg, come back down, go back up on the leg on the other hill, come back down. I've been doing this for years now, and I've found that the people that adopt that type of training, like once a week or so, really see big benefits in their ability to crush those mountain runs. So an obstacle course racing, coming down a mountain fast, it's all about integrity. If your joints aren't going to hold up for you, then you have the apprehension, then you start putting on the brakes. Next time, then you start finding rocks and roots to trip over, right?
Yeah.
And in obstacle course racing, the worst thing in the world is all the sprained ankles you see. These guys are constantly jacking up their ankles, and you only have a couple runs with your ankles. If you tear a ligament, sprain a ligament in your ankle, you could get away with it maybe twice, but that third time you're almost looking at surgical intervention and quite possibly an end of your career as a runner. So it's a critical thing to keep aware of. So that's what I had today. That was pretty good.
That's what I had as well. That's all she wrote, man.
Well, I like it because, you know, we're keeping it short and sweet, and I think the people that take the time to listen to this are going to get something from it. What are we going to do next?
Right. And
next time we visit, what are we going to do?
What's next? It's a great question. I would love to hear specific strength protocols for the different. I mean, you've worked with so many athletes of different types of running events and running multi-sport events, from triathlon to OCR to CrossFit. I would love to hear just some like comparisons of strength protocols and how it relates to the, you know, different. I mean, I myself, marathon not being so interesting after 70 of them. Looking forward to getting stronger again and doing some other stuff. So, you know, it's a bit selfish in my pursuit to dig into you on that one, but I'm sure a lot of people would like to hear different protocols on that.
Well, you know, so we could do a couple things. And one of the things that occurred today, I was actually, you know, on my calls with my clients, and this High Rocks event is a new deal. It's very interesting to me. And, you know, as you suggested, I've delved into CrossFit a bit. But at the end of the day, it's the enemy in sport is fatigue. So what brings about fatigue? You could develop fatigue over an enduring event, or you can develop fatigue over a high intensity, short duration event. But it still comes back down to what can you do to stave off the potential fatigue. And so then you need to identify what that enemy is. So what is fatigue? What causes fatigue? And to me, this is fascinating stuff. because one of my clients, he's really into short, high-intensity stuff, and he literally goes until he falls over and lays on the ground until he can get himself together again, and then he's ready to do something else. And so I explained to him today that it could very well be that his training protocols need a little work, you know, because if you're getting shut down during an event, you might want to ask yourself, what could you be doing to change that, right?
Yeah.
So we're looking for an adaptation. We're looking for adaptive process.
Yeah.
So we could talk about fatigue. We could talk about strength. We could talk about adaptation. And to me, this is fascinating country. This is the kind of stuff that gets me up in the morning. And as a matter of fact, I got 3 clients coming in to Thursday this week from out of town, and these guys are elite high rocks competitors. And high rocks being the events with the 8 kilometers worth of running and the 8 efforts, and you know, it's very, very powerful stuff. And it will take you out. It will take you out if you're not prepared and training properly for it. So what I'm going to do with them is I'm going to do VO2 max testing on them, on the ski erg, on the rowing machine, and on the treadmill, and then I'm going to sort their running out for them. But what we're going to look for is this turn point, this metabolic turn point, where they're shifting away from their capacity to be aerobic and be exclusively anaerobic, and how well they could be training themselves to contend with that ensuing production of lactate. Because it comes on at different heart rates at different levels of work. So, you know, for you, if you recall when you did your Ironman, we tested you running, and then we tested you on the bike. And your threshold between the 2 efforts was very different from one another. So you can't just judge intensity and use that wall in your head across the board on all these different events. Otherwise, you could potentially falter. You could have a problem somewhere. So, to me, that's lots to talk about. Strength and how to approach strength and why and when. We can marry that whole thing together. We'll turn that into a good solid 45 minutes worth of conversation.
Game on, baby.
So I'm
Count
down.
me in.
That's what we're gonna do.
All right.
And now.
All right. Next week.
Yep. Next week. By the way, before we go, I want people to hear it from me. You need to subscribe. There's going to be a little banner that shows up here somewhere along the way, and it's going to tell you to do that. But I want you to subscribe because I'm getting old, and I need to stay motivated to have these conversations with you. And Blue's just having fun with it. So I brought him.
Do it.
He's the eye candy for the training.
Yeah. Well, thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right. So cool.
I love it, man. I love geeking out. Let's keep it going.
Yeah.